Howdy, folks, and welcome back. Hope you're all blessed and doing okay out there. Well, for today's video, I present to you GE Evolution Locomotives. Now, this book does not have a cover, as you may have noticed. And the reason is, well, it got torn up, unfortunately, while the moving around it's done. But this book covers the history of the Evolution Series locomotive. Now, it's not up to date with the new GEVOs on the rails today, but it covers a fair majority of them. Now, I will admit I'm not too influenced in the history of this particular engine, but I will tell you guys what I do know. Anyway, let's take a look and see what this one has to offer. So at the beginning we have some blueprints for a BNSF GEVO. No, I'm not going to turn it sideways. You guys get it though. And there's one for CB Rail. Now I like that picture of the demo unit pulling a train. That's pretty cool. Table of contents, what you're going to see. Evolution of a locomotive design. So during the time of the 1990s, the Dash 8 and the Dash 9 were being used very successfully on the railroads. So GE decided to make a newer engine that would be a bit more powerful and a bit of an upgrade from the Dash 9 fleet. In the early to mid to late 2000s, the Evolution series was designed and born. It has the same unique design as your typical GE wide cab locomotive does, with a few minor differences behind the cab and on the sides, of course, of the engine. Since the beginning, there have been several variations made of the GEVO type, including the ES40DC, the ES44DC, the ES44AC, the ES44AH, that's what CSX calls theirs, the ES44C4, and the ET44. One unique one is BNSF 7695, which was painted in a special golden swoosh paint scheme. It's a one-of-a-kind engine on the rails today. These engines, there's an anime of one for Union Pacific. UP's called their C45s, Union Pacific calls theirs C45A. AC4s, I think. I forget. It's got a long designation behind it. These met with emission standards for the EPA and are pretty powerful. The newer ones supposedly get over 500 gallons. Let me rephrase that. The newer ones supposedly get about 500 miles on 1 gallon of diesel fuel. If only cars and trucks were that efficient. They are powered by GE 7FDL primers and produce between 4,000 and 5,000 horsepower, give or take. But I could be wrong. I think it's between 4,000 and 4,400 horsepower. Emissions impulse. Another unique locomotive was the GE Evolution Hybrid, which had a leaf on the side. This one was designed to run on battery power and diesel power. But supposedly, it didn't work as well as you thought it would, and there was only one built. Now that's what I was told, but I could be wrong. And as you guys can see, a variety of railroads went out and bought these. I have no clue who has the most of the first generation ES44s, nor do I know who has the most of the variety that was made, because like I said, there were several different models. The best way to tell what a locomotive is, and this goes for all companies and all trains on the rails today, platform for growth, is to have a handbook with you showing off all the road numbers and model designations of the locomotive. Read the locomotive cab, because typically the designation footage is underneath the cab, or look it up online. Type in the engine number, the railroad, and you should be able to find it pretty easily. If you study the locomotives like I do, and you look at the engine, you can see the tiny differences that are hidden give the engine away. One thing that makes GE locomotives unique is the prime mover sound effect. It sounds like a chugging steam engine from the old days, where EMD sounds more like a semi-truck. The Evolution series locomotives have been made in miniature by quite a few companies. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know all of them. Pardon me, allergies, but I will tell you who I do know who does make it. Z-Scale, I'm not sure about, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's done by maybe American Z-Line or Micro Trains. I have not looked into it. N-Scale, I know it's been done by, I want to say Color USA Trains. Athearn may have done it too. In HO Gauge, it's been done by, get ready for this, Tower 55, Intermountain, Athearn, MTH, Bravo Limited Imports, Scale Trains, and a variety of brass manufacturers. Oh, Walthers and I think Bachmann makes it as well in HO Gauge. Testing on the rails. In terms of S gauge, I think American Flyer made some as well. Again, there's that cool demo scheme. In terms of I am sleepy. In terms of O gauge, it has been done by Lionel, MTH, Third Rail, I think, and eventually Atlas will, or they already have made it because they bought the molds from MTH. In terms of G gauge, I think Bachmann has done it as well. There have been also variations of live steam models made as well, or half gauge models made as well of the GEVO. A lot of people tend to foam over these things. I think they're cool regardless. I'm not really much of a foamer, I promise you guys that. That's a nice picture right there. I like that one. To sell a locomotive. Another, I keep going off uniqueness, I know. Some of the other most unique ones that have been done so far include the CSX 3/4, if you want to call them so-called heritage units, the so-called BNSF sticker heritage units. Those are not heritage units, guys, I'm sorry. And 10 of the Norfolk Southern heritage units have also been done. This book was made before any of that was even put into thought. It's an old book, but it's still pretty cool. The train horns varied on these engines from K5 LLAs to K5 HLAs. It all depended on the railway that purchased them. Putting it all together. So originally, these locomotives were built in Erie, Pennsylvania at GE's plant. Now that plant had been there for many years. Besides diesel, they also built some of the electric locomotives there for the American Railroad. Recently, GE moved its plant to Fort Worth, Texas, not too far from where I live, and they're building GEVOs out there. Supposedly, GE is now owned by a company called Wabtec, but people still call them GE locomotives. And you know what? So do I. To build a locomotive takes 21 to 25 days, and there's some 20 to 25,000 parts in the GEVO. It's amazing, though, the amount of time and effort it takes to build these. It truly is unique to see it when it rolls off the assembly line brand new. Now they're assembling them. They look like, well, they're unpainted is what I should say. It looks like a model, basically, from here. It takes a long time to make these things, but it's pretty cool. The type of bogies or trucks these engines use are known as HIAD, HIAD, or high adhesion trucks. The newer ones today have a few more extra features, but they're still HIAD trucks altogether. At your service. In terms of sound packages, ESU Lock Sound, Soundtricks Nominee 1 and 2, Legacy Rail Sounds, Proto Sound 2 and 3 have all made sound packages for this locomotive. In terms of movies that have featured a GEVO, I can't really think of any off the top of my head. If you know of one, tell me in the comments. In terms of video games, it's been made for Train Simulator, Rail Sim, Trains with a Z, various versions available for download. Some even came with the game. And downloads for Microsoft Train Simulator as well. The GEVO is now an everyday engine you see on the rails. A lot of people go meh when they see them, and I don't blame them. They are cool looking though. If anything, people look forward to more of seeing the rolling stock behind the engine because, well, all the engines are starting to suffer the same fate as automobiles. They're starting to all look the same, unfortunately. If anything comes good of variety, at least you have plenty of different paint schemes you can see on the rails today from locomotives. And despite that, even the Margievas look better than the ugly Simmons Chargers. I will admit that. I've seen plenty of these in my time, and every place I've gone to see a train. I've seen Union Pacific, BNSF, some... I may have seen Norfolk Southern and CSX, but I'm not really sure, to be honest. Oh, didn't realize that was a nerd. Sorry, guys. The engine, though, has a unique history, and the legacy continues on as new ones are being built right now as we speak. Either you've seen it or you haven't seen it, but when Canadian National bought these, they put a Canadian-style cap on there with a 4-piece windshield instead of the American cap with the 2-piece windshield. Still, it looks pretty cool. The type of prime mover these use is supposedly a GEVO 12. I've actually had the chance to get somewhat up close and somewhat personal with one of these. When we had National Train Day, when it was still a thing, they would often bring out a GEVO to Fort Worth ITC station for people to see. It was cool to walk around the engine and actually take pictures of it. I enjoyed that. There were 2 different cab styles you could choose from. You had standard side controls and desktop controls. Personally, I could go either way. So yeah, this is a very interesting locomotive and pretty cool actually. So many paint schemes to choose from, and quite a few people have made it in miniature, as I mentioned. The push is on the future. So here's a few of the demonstrator paint schemes or test schemes, and they look pretty cool. If anyone would be my rewind. If I could pick a favorite paint scheme of this, it would be this one with the lightning stripe. It looks very bold. I love it. There's a foreign GEVO, and I think that's a what if look if they were to make a passenger version of the GEVO. At the moment, the only passenger locomotive GE has built is the Genesis locomotive. Well, okay, and the Dash 8 that was built for passenger service. And a few others for commuter service. Sorry guys, I can't think. I'm tired tonight. But yeah, these things are pretty cool to see rolling down the tracks. And I do like the GEVO. Yeah, I know it's an everyday locomotive, but still, I like it. I don't like the CPKCS paint scheme that they're putting on there, but I like everything else. This was made before the merger too, so don't worry. There's some more blueprints right there and numbers telling you about what you're seeing there. Pretty cool. And last we have blueprints for a CSX locomotive. Okay guys, well there you have it. Pretty cool book. Alright y'all, until next time, please be safe around trains. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And may the good Lord take a liking to you. Happy rails, guys.